What is the relationship between the military and the media? Will the war on terror ever end in Nigeria, and can we have a healthier civil-military relationship? My name is Leah Babatunde, and this is Top Talk. I am being joined by Professor Andrew Amboson. He is an alumnus of the prestigious Nigeria Defense Academy, NDA Kaduna, where he got commissioned as a second lieutenant in the year 1979. His academic pursuit took off following his voluntary retirement from the Nigerian Army in the year 1991. The retired major took up journalism as a profession with academic footprints in the University of Ibadan, Freedom University and Theological Seminary, Africa, USA, and the International Institute of Journalism, Abuja, amongst many other institutions. He's a trained crisis and conflict manager, a seasoned media consultant, a post-trauma stress disorder counselor and trainer, and public analyst. There's just so much about you, Professor. So it's nice to have you join the program.
I'm happy being with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. So let me understand, from the military to the media, how did you do it?
From the military to the media, it's just been one of my, I would say right from NG, I enjoyed the media. I wanted to be a media person. I was writing for Soldier magazine. Okay. So when I left service, I said, okay, I had two options, either to be a lawyer or to go into journalism. When I came to Abuja, I just went into journalism. For 5 years, I had to train as a journalist. And now I'm teaching. For 16 years now, I've been teaching in the journalism school, and I love it. I love teaching and writing.
Why did you leave the military? I'm sure a lot of people have asked you this question.
A lot of people have asked. I had a challenge 1989, 90. So that challenge, I would look at it as a providence. God just took care of that, because I missed that plane crash in 92. I would have been in that plane crash.
Oh, wow.
So I just thank God that the challenge that kept me, and I'm alive today, is a challenge that helped me to have another goal, to think of something different that will help the military, the training on leadership, and a lot of things. Intelligence, you have to go to weaponry, you have to go to them. And that's the military. I love the military. It was my choice, and I went there 1976 in India. And I left as a major. Going into journalism, I look at it as a fulfillment for me, because I love writing and I love teaching, and that has helped me. I've edited so many books. And that has, I'm happy about that. And I know my students, so many of them are working, some are in NTA, some in channels, some in ART. When I see them, I feel fulfilled. One of my students just graduated, has a PhD now from Imo State University. Mm-hmm. So he brought some books. I'm working on them for him, and I feel fulfilled about it. I feel happy that I can see and then feel them, that they are around. They come around to appreciate me, to say thank you. So that is the life. If you empower people through what you are doing, you are giving back to society. That's how I look at the whole thing.
Okay, I'm going to take you back to 1992, because that year was a turning point for Nigeria in so many ways. And it is also said that that was the finest crop ever of the armed forces that just went down, unfortunately, at the September crash. How did you escape it?
I would say providence, because I was in Ibadan that time. I missed going to Staff College. We had just finished Staff College qualifying exam in Abakaliki, and I was one of the best. And I knew all my colleagues that died in that plane crash. We were in Ibadan together. And when that crash came up, I had a dream about it, but that's a dream. When the crash came, the unfortunate thing is that government didn't do anything about it. Our rescue, our emergency system in Nigeria is poor. You can look around, and that's exactly what happened. A cream of officers died in that plane crash. So many. Doctors, engineers, intelligence officers were in that plane. And it was just complete loss for the whole country. So the leadership of the country needs to be proactive when it comes to rescue. I just watched this crash in Washington where 68 people, a military aircraft took off and then collided with a civilian plane. But they quickly rescued some people. They got some people. Ours wasn't like that. We don't know whether it was a planned thing. We knew that the aircraft were not, I'm sure the aircraft wasn't good. And Charlie, the history of Charlie 130 has been a very good plane for a long time to drop military on airborne operations. It has been like that. But this one, we didn't know what actually happened. The report of that, there was an investigation. They investigated that crash. Where is the report? Even the person who submitted the report, we learned he died after submitting the report. I'm just talking about that. I hope no one misquote me on that. A lot of things need to be done in terms of emergency. Rescue, we need to work on our rescue system in Nigeria. Look at the fire. So many people died in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, and Niger because of fuel. And that fuel is what? Because of poverty. People are hungry. So that is exactly what happened. But that plane crash, it was uncalled for. Maybe there was no maintenance. The maintenance system in Nigeria is poor. You drive around, you see government vehicles that are not properly maintained, and money goes in there. Money is budgeted for maintenance, but no one cares about maintenance. That has been a very, and it's corruption. It's the issue of corruption that caused all these things. The leaders that were there and that plane crash happened, in a good society, they would have retired. The chairman minister would have retired. The president would have fired so many people. They didn't fire them.
Yeah.
They didn't fire them. What was the reason? Maybe they knew why.
Because I had an uncle on that craft.
I know.
And we were told that he had the Nigeria Airways ticket, but felt he was military enough to remain for them to fix
the plane.
It was being maintained and was supposed to airlift them back. And in fact, he offered his friend who came home and was with everyone. When the news broke out, the man was already with his family in Jaji. And so, just as you've said, there was an inquiry, and we didn't hear anything about it.
Some of officers, because they just got married that time, they stayed back with their family. Some drove, they went to Kaduna by road, and some, they were at the lodge, they were drinking, and that's what saved them. That's what saved them. Some missed the aircraft, and that's what saved them.
So, what does that do? Because you have also had experience in traumatic disorder counseling, and so I'm trying to understand, what does that do to the psyche of the living in the military?
The living in the military, my own is just the issue of widows. The widows in a good society, government would have taken care of so many of them. I don't know whether they were given lump sum of money and even houses. Some state government gave them houses. But once in a while, they would have taken care of the education of the children, and that's what the military does. So the fact is the psyche, the issue of traumatic this thing, once in a while, that would have been something. You do counseling for them, call them and talk to them, because death, naturally, it has to come. Yeah. But this one was a forceful death. No one planned for it, and there was no serious rescue. Julius Berger was there. Julius Berger was in Nigeria. They would have asked them for assistance. Even the U.S. military, they would ask for assistance. No one asked for them. And that slum, Ijibot slum, is a terrible slum. The plane was right inside. After how many minutes take off from the airport in Lagos? It was devastating. It was devastating, but the rescue was poorly done. And I think some people would have been held responsible and then charged for that. No one has done that. So, I'm saying no one has done that.
Yes. quite unfortunate.
Yes.
Indeed. And
Benue had the highest. Southern Kaduna had the second. Benue had about 13 officers, Kaduna 12. The number just like that, 149. I still have the list on my table of my colleagues who died in that plane. It was traumatic.
So we're still seeing our military in these kinds of situations, but in a different scenario now, that we are in a constant state of war now, if I'm permitted to use that language, with the security issues we're having in country now. The military is now dealing with aggressors in country, not outside the country. And what's your take on these exercises all over the country and the communication? Is the communication being done rightly?
The whole thing is intelligent. I think there's great improvement now. If you look at it, it's now kinetic. The whole thing, the war, there's so many war fronts, and fighting in build-up areas, fighting where there's no boundaries, it consumes a lot. There's a lot of logistics going in there, so it is not easy. That's why the military, they have so many divisions. The time I left service, we had only 4 divisions, but today there are so many. There are so many. So the problem is training and then intelligence gathering. Intelligence gathering and then surveillance is very important. The world now is shifting to technology. Drones are being used, and drones are very expensive for the military. And so many countries, like I listened to the show with the Defense Staff the other day, when he spoke to Azazera, some countries are not ready to even give weapons to Nigeria, especially aircrafts. So I think that aspect is sorted out. Military needs to be equipped properly. You see the Boko Haram, they have similar weapons. Our own supposed to be better, the military is supposed to be better equipped with better weapons. Look at what happened in Gaza, Israel and Gaza. Israel are fully, the Air Force is a very strong Air Force. You can equip the Air Force here. You'll be able to get all those spots where people are creating confusion. But there must be political will in everything. The presidency must be involved. Yes, we want to clean up the system. How can we clean up insecurity in Nigeria? We must equip the police, equip the military, even the border areas. Customs need to be equipped. Immigration needs to be equipped. The influx of people coming to the country is a threat to our country already. And we don't know who is actually arming them. They come with weapons armed. We spoke about the Arab Spring. Arab Spring was just an eye-opener. So many people were disloyed in Libya and Tunisia. They moved their weapons to other areas that were safe. And that's exactly what is happening. How can we contain it through our borders? Are people patriotic? If they see you with weapons, can they tell the security to pick you immediately? So we have a lot of weapons outside, and that's the fear. That's the fear. People find it difficult even to go to their villages because of that. You don't know who is armed. Until we're able to address the issue of security, we can't have peace in Nigeria. And we must start from the local government, right from the local government. The traditional rulers, they know who are strangers in their communities. If they can report quickly to the security agency, it will be okay. But if they don't report, that means there is complacency. That means they are involved. And what is the agenda of these people going around destroying people's farmlands and taking over those farmlands? There must be an agenda. The government knows about it. The government should be able to know. The DSS, all the security agencies are supposed to know.
I was going to ask you actually about this because I learned you're also a chief. And there's been the clamor that traditional rulers should be given more roles. I'm asking this question specifically because a state like Kaduna has been in the eye of the storm for a while, and we saw how the traditional rulers had their domains taken off from them, with their powers reduced and giving the state more ungoverned spaces. So looking at the scenario we have presently, would you agree with those who say no, give these traditional rulers a kind of constitutional role. Let us know that we hold them accountable for things that go wrong within the domains assigned to them. Another school of thought says, no, we have some of these traditional rulers who are compromised. We've seen it in places like Zamfara and Sokoto, where there's a constant report coming out saying the traditional rulers are working in cahoots with these inbound terrorists. So what would be your take in this?
During the system we had the northern chiefs, there was House of Assembly, they had a sort of House of Assembly. The northern chiefs they had, if we can go back to that, ensure that the traditional institution is given a role to play. They are there. Governors normally go to them to look for votes. The vote is not just empty. They control a certain area. But we need those chiefs that were removed, like in Kaduna State. So many were downgraded, which wasn't proper. It's an institution. Let them have let them have their own House of Chiefs. They used to call the House of Chiefs. Who can have it? And more of them, it makes it merrier. If you have more of them, like what they have in northern part or in Kano, there are so many districts, they were not disorganized like what happened in Kaduna State. If you have those chiefs, you hold them accountable for allowing visitors or strangers to sit in their domain without giving them valid papers to live within those areas. You can hold them. But one thing that has just happened, July last year, the Supreme Court gave the local government autonomy. That means there's going to be the local government and chiefs, they must work hand in hand to ensure the issue of insecurity within the local government. Insecurity starts from the local government. If many people are not employed, they'll create a base for that. That's a fodder already for crisis. When many people are not working, graduates are not working, artisans are not working, then there's going to be a challenge. And the whole thing will go back to the local government. We need the local government now that money is going direct to them. They need to ensure that the issue of insecurity, schools, teachers have been taken care of at the grassroots. If that is done, the issue of the chiefs will not be anything, but they need their own small parliament where they will meet all the chiefs so that they can rub mind. If I have challenges in my community, I should be able to discuss with you. If it is kidnapping or anything, armed robbery, we should be able to exchange information. But we also need local police, like what we used to have during the 60s. The native police needs to be, if government allows that to happen, every local government shall. They have counties police in the US, and they are well equipped. They are well equipped. They know the residents, they know the local people there. So it will be easy for gathering of information to get a local police. We have local police. The intelligence will find it will be easy. Intelligence gathering will be easy because you know who lives in your own local community. You know, through the chiefs, through the Dakates, the district heads, you'll be able to know. And the emirs, you should be able to know.
Okay, yeah. We're in a world that you've cited some instances on some of the crisis efforts that have happened around the world, where technology has played a very, very critical role in addressing security issues with precision. And yes, Nigeria might not have the funding to acquire some of these high-tech equipment like the drones to do some of these exercises. So I'm going to ask you a double pronged question. The first one will be, is Nigeria not capable of designing some of these items for her own use, considering the fact that we have satellites already in orbit? That's one. Number two, will it be better to have lesser boots on ground or more boots on ground?
Okay, Nigeria is capable. We have money, we have resources. We can acquire those. We have defense industry to have set up a very long time, around 50 something.
But for a long time, they were making just furniture.
Yes. During the Shagari period, they set up a stair company to assemble tanks in Bauchi. Now someone is doing the same thing, APCs in Ogun State. The military should just have a partnership with them, let them mass produce for them quality ones. We can go and borrow technology from anywhere, either Israel or China. The Indians, they have what they call a test proving ground. When they buy a weapon for you, they go there and test it. It can be a tank. They will find it there and see whether it will be okay for the environment. We can have test proving grounds here. And I think our military are working towards that. They had one exhibition, and I saw the president during the Armed Forces Day, Remembrance Day. The government is encouraging that, and I think it's a very good way to ensure that our people mass produce locally for our own use. But the technology has to be, we have so many engineers, we have so many scientists, it's just funding by government. And I think government has just increased the budget of the armed forces. They need to do that in terms of research and other needs for the military. Our military needs to be fully equipped. They need to be equipped. If you're not equipped, you can't fight any intruder that comes to you. The other aspect you mentioned is about, you mentioned a second issue of...
the boots on ground.
The boots on ground, yes. Like Israel, they have very efficient air force. So you can have a compact air force that is trained, but you must give them the aircraft they need. Now police are having aircraft, customs are having the same thing. Who is financing, who is controlling all of them? Yeah. They should be able to work in synergy to ensure that they delivered. And we need recruitment too. Recruitment, like what I keep saying, during the passing out parade of youth corps, all the services need to go to those grounds and recruit those who they actually need. You ask people, not because they are looking for employment, ask them, are they sure they want to join the military? Are they sure they want to join the custom? Do they want to go to the prisons? Not that people will sit back and when they leave the camps, someone gives them paper. Please, this is my sister. I want her to join the military. No. During our time, it was interest. If you want to be a professional, you don't need someone to give you a paper to go there. After the training, you see them. So many of them have run away from it. They go on a war, absent without. They run away from it. Yes. So people need to be told. They need to be constantly counseled, and there should be a lot of information so that people will know whether they actually want the military or they want to join the police. Not that you are looking for employment. You should go there because you want to serve there. You should go there because you're a patriot. You want to be a military person. You want to be a pilot. You want to be an engineer. Go there with the interest of serving the country and defending the country. All what happened just last Friday in Timbuktu, where they killed some 22 soldiers. People who are not interested in joining the military, they run away. But it is someone who loves to defend the country. It's a noble profession. The military is a noble profession, just like journalism.
Yeah, of course, just like journalism. And before I go on this break, I would want to also glean this information from you. You talked about early response. And so I'm wondering, typically, when we're saying response to crisis or disaster, is there any time frame that it should happen?
The moment there's a report that there's a crisis, I can tell something. My son was in Zamfara sometimes. They had, during the operation, the moment you report there's an incident, and there's a quick response, you know that the people there are waiting to do the needful. When you report and no action is taken, that's why you know that there is laxity somewhere. Someone's not doing his work, then you have to fire that person. That Ijibo crash, it keeps reminding me that we're not responsive and we're not ready to respond to emergency until when the whole thing is done. We don't value human life. That's how I look at the whole thing. We don't value human life. That's what actually happened. Our response period is poor. So there should be early warning system for that.
So, Professor Akpa, I will be holding your thoughts on that line because we need to actually go on a break right now, and when we return, we'll take the next leg of this conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome back from that break, and I've been speaking with Professor Aku Andrew Amboson, and he is a retired major of the Nigerian military. I want to actually take you back to the military before we stray away.
Okay.
And what would you describe as your defining moment with the Nigerian Army before we move to the second leg?
The time I was about leaving, I worked in 2 military courts, and it gave me joy that one of my seniors has sent a note to me and said, Major Amboson, we're picking you not because you're a trained lawyer, but because we know you're a very good officer. You'll be able to defend this person. And I did it well. The officer went free in Ibadan. It was in a court-martial.
Oh, wow.
It was in a court-martial. They had a problem by the border, and about 5 of them, their weapons were collected. But I defended the officer. He was let free. And the reason was that the border between Nigeria wasn't marked or fenced like what they have in Israel. So you can stray into any place, you don't know whether there is. So there must be a boundary between 2 nations. So we need to do some fencing, symbolic fencing in Nigeria if we're going to stop all these illegal immigrants. And they're using Kainji and other areas, free routes like the River Niger is very porous. They can use motorcycle through those areas. So we have the resources we can fence. We can ask the private sector to help the government.
Okay.
A lot of money is going to National Assembly. We can take a part of it. I'm not touching that, but I'm going to tell you. Yes, we can reduce the spending in some areas and use it for infrastructure, security infrastructure. That's what I call it.
For 16 years, you've been a lecturer. How does it feel?
Well, 16 years, I've been teaching some key courses there, and I enjoy myself there. And within that period, I've written 2 of my books. They will be presented this year on editorial writing. I discovered there's no book on it. I just saw some areas, but I've expanded it. It's a good book, and then media management, then critical writing. So that's an area that I've focused for some time. So I've enjoyed myself writing.
Yeah.
And I've edited other books. People brought some books and I've edited for them, and I'm so happy about that. Someone drove a book, 730 pages. I edited within 4 days, and I presented a book review on that book. I was so excited about that.
Oh, wow. So in all of these, how do you find the communication of military information by the media? The
military, we've trained so many of them. They've come to IIJ, we've trained them. Some generals, we did some training for them, and they're doing well. They're doing well. That's why I look at it. You know, military information, there's a lot of propaganda there. Yeah. If you go through the intelligence, a lot of propaganda during crises like this. Like that is what they do in Israel and other areas where there's war. But our military has been, in terms of information dissemination, they've been okay. For me, luckily they have a radio now. Some of us spoke about it, and we have a radio. There's a radio. During the operation, when some of our colleagues were in Lebanon or Liberia, it is through this communication that you speak, maybe tell them about the operation that we are doing fine. It used to be just mostly, it wasn't radio where you'd be watching people doing operation here and there. It was just call their wives, let them talk to their husbands. Yeah. Now, there's a great improvement. Since the military has a TV, a radio station now, is good. Because someone who has been in the war front for 2 years, he needs to communicate with his family too. And if they know that they're doing well in the war front, they'll be happy that they will know their husbands are doing well.
Absolutely.
And that is it. They will know that logistics is okay there. They have weapons, they have accommodation, they have food, they'll be happy. Their morale will build up. So they'll do well.
So we're in a time where misinformation and disinformation somehow have started to reign supreme. In most instances, we've seen where people actually would believe what they get from the internet, the social media platforms, irrespective of who is putting it about the military or the nation itself, than what they get from conventional media houses. How did we get to this level of distrust, or will I say misplaced trust?
The social media, we're entering a very different phase. The social media has taken over so many things, and people believe on social media. But the military, let me tell you, the military has its own way of disseminating information. They have defense correspondents that once in a while, when they want to present information, they call them, and then the head of that, it should be a major general, brigadier general, will address the press. So that information alone has to douse any negative information that may come through the social media. But our mentality, anything we see on WhatsApp, we'll just post. Anything we see on Facebook, we just post. It's not correct. Military believes verified. It has to be verified from the military, from the source. The source is very important. And even for us as media, if your information is not balanced, if it's not factual, forget about it. It's fake. You can look at it as fake. Someone just had maybe in a market that something happened. So many people have been kidnapped. You just post the information. We don't allow that one even in the media, because it can disorganize the whole community. When people hear that so many people have been killed, but in the media, we just tell you it's just a small number, about 22 or 20 have been killed, or 17 like the other day. And that one means you have to be there on the scene to account for the report you are presenting. Or you have someone who is there who is giving correct information. Not that he got it in a beer parlor, no. Or in the mess, no. You must be there, and you must have the pictures of that place. And the pictures, you don't show them anyway. Yeah, you can't show them, because they'll create more confusion outside.
So we are also in a time where we've seen media houses, reputable media houses, churn out these kinds of stories.
Without verification. Yes, so many are just eager to be the first to present. You can't, in journalism school, you have to verify your sources. Don't be eager to present any information that is not verified, because you can be held liable for that one. And the courts are there. Lawyers, judges are waiting. If they pick you, any organization that feels that you've denigrated them, they can take you to court because of that. So most of our information has to be verified from source, from people who are there. Maybe a soldier is there, he's giving information that so dies with first of so place, and that is verified. It has to go through the source. There's an army, armed forces Department of Information. They do that. That is supposed to be their responsibility.
Okay, so how do we, or have we failed, or are we not doing enough as a country to tackle this issue of fake news, misinformation, disinformation?
The misinformation and fake news will continue for a very long time. But we need to have, if the Federal Ministry of Information and other sources are ready, we can have maybe a court to check the excesses. There should be a check somewhere. If you are penalized for bringing fake news to your organization, they've started doing it. They've started doing, there's an organization doing that here in Abuja. If they know that the information is wrong, if KAFTAN is not giving the correct information, they can place a fine on you or give you a warning, call you, and that should be regular sensitization for all media houses. Once in a while by the Ministry of Information, they should be able to do that. To sensitize people, tell them what you are talking now is not correct, and we don't want disinformation, or we don't want misinformation, or we don't want fake news from you. If you do that, 5 years, we can proscribe your media houses. And I think they're doing it. They've started doing it. But sometimes you discover that politics may take some in government. They don't want media to criticize them. So I tell people, look, if you are going to criticize government, it should be constructive criticism. And if you are presenting it, let them be factual, let them be balanced, and leave them there. Don't criticize to destroy. Criticize and give them a way out. This is how we can do it. This is how we can do it. The moment you criticize to destroy, then you are not adding value to Nigeria. That's how I look at the whole thing. Because it is our project. If Nigeria is not peaceful, all of us will be affected. Absolutely. So people need to know about that. It's not about tribe, it's not about religion, but our stake is Nigeria.
So how many books have you authored?
I've done about 7 now. I've 7 or 8. I've presented only 4, but the remaining 4 will be done this year. They're already with the press. They'll be out.
Okay. So
one is on public relations.
Okay.
Editorial writing. I've done that one. Then one is my training in the US, and then my local community. I've done the history of my community to be presented this year. The whole Nizam tribe. I've done it. Yes. Then I've written a book. It's a Christian book. The Change God Wants. The Change God Wants. It was presented in 2018, but I've worked on it. Okay. And I've done one on my wife. Okay. Yeah, I've done one on my wife, and that's okay for me.
Okay.
The Security Handbook for Defense, I edited it, and then there are some other books I did.
So I'm glad that you're touching on some of these things that we have over time not really talked about them. There's documenting ethnic nationalities. You mentioned one that you've done, and also you talked about editing the military handbook. These are clearly 2 parts that we've not heard about in a very long while. So I'm hoping that if you'll be able to speak on them, why it's important for Nigerians to pay attention for these 2 contexts,
Okay, like my community, we've not had a documented history. We've just had I got some material from University of Ibadan. I've been working about 12 years now. The history of my own people, I need to get it documented. About 2-3 of us are working, but I even did a film, but one media got chewed. It dropped it somewhere, and I did a documentary, and someone misplaced it somewhere. So I'm working on the history of my community to be presented this year. So I've interviewed some people. I served as secretary of my community for 4 years, 1998 to 2001. So I know much about both my own tribe and then Southern Kaduna. I was secretary here in Abuja. So I can tell the story of Southern Kaduna. We need some leaders. It's about the leadership anyway, and it's the same leadership. We're having challenges in Nigeria because of leadership. We have leaders now, but we need transformational leaders that will change this country. That is what we actually need. Leaders who have a feeling for the masses, leaders who think about how to develop this nation. The other aspect, it was a security handbook. I edited it 2013. It was for the Defense College. It's a good book, and they gave it to me. I edited it for them.
So can civilians read it?
No, it's for the military. It's for the military. I have a copy. But if you're in the intelligence department, in security agencies, they will allow you to read it. It should be a good one.
So what will be your position on Nigeria's large number of out-of-school children?
It's worrying. It's a terrible situation, especially the north. The north, we need to look at, if you drive through, I live in, if you drive through the FCT, you see the public schools are in a state of disrepair. They are not, some they don't even have windows, some don't have doors. I came through or Rosa today, I saw the one directly opposite Technical College. And there are so many like that. Government property, especially public schools. Governments need to ensure that those schools are taken care of, secondary schools and primary schools. These are the foundation for our nation. Drive around every state, you see the primary schools, the public schools are not, they are in disrepair, completely broken down. And we are talking of a better Nigeria. And to the primary schools, the foundation is laid there. I went to a good primary school. We could write letters in primary schools, 1969, before I went to secondary school. So government needs to take care of education, is very important. Education, we need to have more schools. The school fees has to be crushed. If you're a senior citizen, you don't like your child to go to a public school. Some of us went to public schools. Until government is ready to change the narrative, no one can change the narrative. People are rushing, pulling their children to private schools, and the private schools are very expensive. The government schools have more graduates. So you need to take care of teachers in those public schools, pay them well, improve the environment for them. I remember during primary school, some teachers, they gave them accommodation. We can give them accommodation. Or if there is no accommodation, give them, yes, give them some money for that. Give them some money for that. Provide accommodation for them. And some of the schools, no health center for them. During those days, I went to Kagoro Secondary School, we had a health center for the school, for the secondary school. If you can have it all round, to be easy. The number of out-of-school children is alarming. It's a threat to security already. It's a threat to security. For 25 years, no one took note of that, and especially in the north. There are so many of them running around. During the Goodluck Jonathan's period, he said at nomadic school, who are in the nomadic school now? No one is there. If you go, there's a school in my local government, if you go there, you hardly see some of them there. They are either farming or they are following cattle. So we need to arrest that situation. If it is symbolically 3 months they are in school, 3 months they are doing keeping their cows, yes, there should be something like that. And the North is the one suffering because of leadership failure. Leadership failure by the Northerners. The Northerners, so many of them have their children abroad, they are not even schooling in the local communities. So you train in the US, train in Canada, and come back, who are you going to load it on? So you must go to the local community, like some of us went through. That's why I can go home and know which school I attended. And the school is still there. It was built through communal effort in my local community. And the school is still standing. So we need to have alumni of all those schools so that they can repair those schools. And government should take care of the schools. I've mentioned the schools in the FCT. I said if you see them, you will not be happy. You will not be happy in the FCT. And this is the capital of Nigeria. We are supposed to have the best schools, fenced schools. They have maybe a canteen for them, small place where they can take them. If they are sick, they rush them to sick bay. We don't have them here. We travel abroad and we see it. We come back here, we turn our eyes. Because our children are not there. The primary school is bad, and secondary school is horrible in the FCT, not to talk of other states. The other states will be more horrible. Yes. But I understand during Peter Obi, Anambra had better schools. I have not been to there for a long time. He improved the schools there, and there was a full investment in education in Anambra. If other state government can do the same thing, education will stabilize and things will begin to improve. This out of school will not be there. We have too many beggars. We need to arrest them, put them somewhere. Either empowerment, training, or anything for them. To reduce criminality within society.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm looking and I'm seeing that there's a long list of organizations and on bodies that you are affiliated with, and I'm wondering if you have any favorite community service.
Yes, like Southern Kaduna, we have Gura Development Foundation. I'm the secretary. We registered when I was secretary. So the target was just to think of how can we empower people. There are so many orphans, how can we give them scholarship? A lot of things happening like that. The issue of empowerment we've talked about. And it's the same thing in my local community too. We need to empower the orphans and the younger ones that don't even have money to go to polytechnic, to attend polytechnics. So, and that is those who need ICT, we should be able to create opportunity for them by computers. We did that in my secondary school in Kagoro. We have a computer laboratory there, and if we can replicate it in other schools, as they are growing from secondary school, they should be able to learn something, right, in terms of ICT, because the world is going digital.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Your great-grandfather, and you're also sitting on several boards, and you have a wife and children. How do you balance all this?
I thank God for what God has done for me. When I left service, I went to journalism. I went to politics.
Oh.
I went to politics. I wanted to contest for chairman of my local government.
Did you win?
I was about winning, and they stopped me in the night. But my wife won. She just left as the PDP woman leader in Kaduna State.
Oh.
Yeah, and so my children, they've all gone. They were just two now with my wife in the house. I have many grandchildren. At least I talk to them. We have a platform. I have a platform every day. We celebrate their birthdays, and that's what we do.
So what are your happiest moments?
Happiest moments, maybe when I'm in church singing, or when we're out with my wife or my grandchildren are around, they play with me, play around with them. Happy moment for me should be when I have peace. No one is troubling me. There's no competition here and there. Maybe I'm watching one film. Can be my happy moment.
So if you're going to put out a word to older persons like you, especially those in retirement, and how to make the best of their lives, what would that word be?
For those in retirement, my colleagues, I keep telling them, look, you should find something doing. Don't say that I retired. I left service 34 years ago. I still go to my office. And my wife knows I read. I still buy some newspapers. I use some of them for my for teaching, because I do editorial and management. So you must go with practical material, and you must read. You can't be a teacher without reading. I encourage some of my friends to write their biography, autobiography, do anything to keep life going, because as you are growing older, I turned 69 in January, 1st January. I'm heading to the 7th floor. This is the time I'm supposed to be reading and writing. And then community work. I serve as chair of my community almost 12 years now in Abuja. So I love meeting people. I love meeting people. Talk about politics of Nigeria and other African countries. I love talking about what is happening. The issues affecting Africa, global politics, job, anything. Peace. If there is no peace in Nigeria, I will not be happy. Yes, because Nigeria is the center for Africa, and we must set the ball right. If not, if there is configuration, if there is confusion in Nigeria, where are we going to run to? There's no place. I know Nigeria, they love enjoyment, they love eating, parties, all these things. If there's no peace, you won't have any peace. You won't enjoy anything.
Absolutely.
So we need a peaceful environment, and we thank God that we have leaders now that are focusing on ensuring that the issue of insecurity is being completely cleared. We just need to be praying for them. Okay. Yes. But you need to be self-contented. You should be happy with yourself. If you're not happy, you can't give anything back to anybody. You must, self-contentment is the first in your life as a person.
Most sincerely, thank you, our major professor, for coming on the program.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Thank you,
It's been a
sir.
great opportunity.
Thank you. I've been speaking with Professor Amboson, a retired military major, and this is the much we can take on this episode until we come your way again same time next week. Stay with us on KAFTAN TV, and God bless Nigeria.